At the Christmas dinner, my daughter-in-law called security. "Get this old useless woman away from the table." She had no idea I owned the company she worked for. The next day, she would learn exactly who she insulted. "I'm glad you're here. Follow my story until the end, and tell me which city you're watching from." I should have known something was wrong the moment I rang the doorbell. Normally, my son Daniel opened it with a warm smile. This time, the door swung open and Claudia filled the doorway, one perfectly manicured hand gripping the handle like she owned the house. "Oh, you're here." Her eyes moved over me slowly, scanning my coat, my shoes, the small red box in my hands. "I brought Ethan a Christmas gift," I answered. Claudia didn't step aside. She stood perfectly still, blocking the entrance for several long seconds before finally turning her shoulder to let me squeeze past her. Inside, guests filled the living room. Dresses, jewelry, loud conversations, people I'd never seen before. Laughter stopped when they noticed me. A few lifted their glasses halfway, but no one greeted me. Daniel stood near the dining table adjusting his cufflinks. He glanced at me, then looked away quickly. I held the red box tighter. "Merry Christmas." Claudia brushed past me with the kind of smile people wear when they're annoyed. She pointed toward the dining room. "Everyone's seated already. Try not to make things awkward." I walked toward my usual chair. The candles were lit, the tablecloth was spotless, silverware perfectly aligned. My seat was empty, waiting. I reached for the back of the chair. Claudia slid into the space, blocking me with her body. "That seat isn't for you tonight." "It's my place," I answered calmly. She folded her arms. "Not anymore." Conversations around us softened into whispers. A woman in pearls leaned toward her husband. He shook his head slowly. No one dared stop it. I kept my voice low. "I just want to give Ethan his gift." "He's with the kids," Claudia replied. "Don't disrupt him." I looked toward the hallway. Ethan was stacking blocks on the carpet, humming. He hadn't noticed anything yet. "I'll sit for a moment," I said. "Then I'll leave." Claudia lifted her hand and snapped her fingers at two uniformed security guards near the door. I froze. I hadn't noticed them before. She pointed directly at me. "You two, here." Both guards approached, unsure of what was happening. Claudia raised her chin. "Get this old, useless woman away from the table." A few guests gasped. A fork slipped from someone's hand. Daniel's jaw tightened, but he didn't move. One guard glanced at me, then back at Claudia. "Ma'am, maybe she can stay for dinner. She's family." Claudia's voice sharpened instantly. "Remove her, right now." Daniel exhaled, long and shaky, but still stayed silent. I straightened my coat. "I can walk out on my own." I picked up the red box. The ribbon had loosened. I kept my hand steady and walked toward the door. The room stayed frozen behind me, rows of eyes, wide and silent. The guard opened the door for me. Cold air rushed in. Snow blew across the porch. Behind me, Claudia's voice cut through the tension. "Close it! She's ruining the atmosphere!" The door shut. The house became quiet again. I stood alone on the porch, gripping the little box. Snow gathered on my sleeves, on the ribbon, on the steps under my feet. I walked down slowly. No one called after me. No one stopped me. Not even my son. At the bottom of the driveway, I looked back once at the warm glow inside the house. "Tomorrow," I whispered, "she'll learn what useless really means." Then I turned and walked into the snow. I reached North Star Systems before sunrise. No greetings, no small talk. I walked straight through the lobby, past employees who barely looked up. My keycard unlocked the executive elevator. The doors closed and carried me to the top floor where I belonged. Martha waited outside my office with a stack of folders. "HR flagged these last night." I took them and entered my office. No pause, no breath. I flipped the first folder open. Claudia Mitchell, Marketing Director, 18 months at the company. 3 formal complaints, all from employees over 50. I scanned the reports one by one. Public humiliation during budget meeting. Demanded unpaid overtime. Age-related remarks in front of staff. I closed the folder sharply. Martha stepped closer. "Linda from HR wants instruction. Bring her in." Linda entered a few seconds later, clutching a tablet, her shoulders tense, her eyes flicking between me and the files. I tapped the folder. These were dismissed. Linda shifted her weight. Her supervisor vouched for her performance. Performance doesn't erase abuse. Linda held the tablet tighter. Do you want her suspended? Not yet. I pushed the folder aside. I want all internal emails from her division. Which time frame? 6 months. Martha took notes without lifting her eyes. Linda swallowed. I'll pull them discreetly. I pointed to another folder. And I want every exit interview connected to her department. Linda nodded quickly and stepped out. I opened a second file. Turnover numbers. Older staff leaving. Younger replacements moving in. Same pattern. Same division. Martha handed me a mug of coffee. You want the organizational chart? I nodded. Bring the full structure. She placed the chart on my desk. Claudia's name sat on a branch with 27 people under her. I traced the line down to the older employees, most marked departed. They never escalated this, Martha whispered, tapping the sheet. They knew she produced numbers, I answered. They decided numbers mattered more. A knock. Linda returned with a printed batch of emails. She placed them on my desk. These were marked private but fall under corporate policy. I skimmed the first page. Outdated staff slowing team progress. Need fresh talent, not retirees who can't handle pressure. Older employees should be reassigned to support roles. I placed the pages down. Linda watched me carefully. What now? We observe. Linda blinked. Observe? She's working in the kitchen today. Martha looked up sharply. You want to go down there? I want to see her when she thinks no one is watching. Linda exhaled. That's unusual for the CEO. I stepped around the desk. So is treating employees like dead weight. I grabbed my coat. Martha followed. She kept her voice low as we entered the service hallway. You're sure about this? Yes. We walked past crates, carts, and staff, heading toward morning prep. No one recognized me without my usual suit and heels. I preferred it that way. Martha unlocked the maintenance room. Uniforms inside. I changed quickly. Cap, gloves, plain shirt, no jewelry, no trace of the woman thrown out of her grandson's dinner. Martha handed me a clipboard. You'll blend. I tucked it under my arm. Keep your phone on. She nodded once and stepped back toward the elevator. I moved through the hallway alone. The noise of the kitchen got louder with each step. Trays slamming, carts rolling, staff moving fast. The sharp pace of real work Claudia had never respected. I stopped at the corner near the entrance. Linda's voice buzzed through Martha's phone, which she held near her ear as she stood across the hall. HR wants to confirm your directive about her reassignment. I answered without turning. Temporary, observational, no exceptions. Martha nodded and relayed the message. I faced the kitchen entrance. Inside, I could already see the shape of Claudia's movements, jerky, irritated, careless. I recognized that posture anywhere, a woman who believed she was too important for the place she stood. I stepped forward. Rosa crossed in front of me with a crate of pans. She paused briefly and gave me a quick nod, not knowing who I was, just another pair of hands wearing a cheap uniform. I walked farther in. A dishwasher door snapped shut. A stack of trays rattled. Someone shouted for more utensils. Claudia turned her head slightly, annoyed at the noise. Her eyes swept the room with disgust. She wiped her face with her sleeve, muttering something under her breath. She still hadn't seen me. Good. I watched her drop a spoon into a sink with unnecessary force. Water splashed onto the floor. A worker had to dodge it. Rosa moved to help her adjust the sprayer. Claudia pushed her hand away. I stayed silent and close enough to hear. Her voice rose. This is ridiculous. I shouldn't be here. Rosa rinsed a pot. Everyone works where they're needed, Claudia scoffed. Some people shouldn't be here at all. Rosa didn't react. Work shows character. Claudia shook her head sharply. Not mine. I took one step closer. Martha's message buzzed through my earpiece. Linda is asking if you want her brought upstairs later." "Not yet," I murmured. Claudia slammed the sprayer down again, splashing water onto another worker. I watched her. I listened. I waited. And everything I needed to know about her character revealed itself in less than 5 minutes. I entered the basement kitchen during the first rush. Noise hit immediately. Trays clattering, water blasting, workers moving fast. No one looked up. No one cared about a woman in an old uniform with a clipboard. Perfect. I stepped behind a rack of pans. From here, I could see the entire dish station. Claudia stood at the sink, hairnet, plastic apron, sleeves wet up to the elbows. She gripped the spray nozzle like it offended her. Water splashed over the metal trays in uneven bursts. Rosa worked beside her, calm, steady, focused. A bowl in her hands, a rinse, a scrub, a rinse again. Luis stacked trays behind them. "Careful! Hot pan behind you." Claudia didn't move. The cook nearly hit her arm. He lifted the pan higher. "Move when someone calls hot." Claudia glared at him. "Watch where you're going." The cook shook his head and hurried off. Rosa exchanged a quick look with Luis. Quiet, but clear. I stepped closer, keeping my head down, clipboard up. Claudia blasted another tray. Water sprayed sideways, splashing Rosa's gloves. Rosa turned slightly. "Angle it down. Less splash." Claudia flicked water off her sleeve. "I know how to use it." She didn't. The next spray hit Luis across the apron. He stepped back fast. "Fine," he muttered, wiping his chest. Claudia ignored him and grabbed another stack of plates. Rosa rinsed a pot. "You'll get into the rhythm." "No," Claudia snapped. "I won't get used to this." Rosa paused. "Work is work." "This," Claudia pointed around her, "is not work. This is punishment." Rosa returned to her station. "Still work!" Claudia slammed a tray onto the rack. "Some people here don't understand careers." Rosa looked at her once. "Everyone understands something." Claudia wiped her forehead with the back of her wrist. "I had a real job, a director position, staff, clients, meetings, not this." Rosa rinsed a bowl. "Then you know how to lead." Claudia scoffed. "I don't lead dishwashers." Luis swallowed hard. He focused on the stack of trays. I stepped behind Claudia to reach the cabinet. She didn't look at me. She muttered under her breath, "This whole place smells like cheap food and cheap labor." Rosa heard it. Her shoulders tightened by 1 inch. Not more. A timer beeped. Someone shouted for more utensils. A worker pushed a cart through the aisle. Claudia stayed in the way. The worker raised his voice. "Move!" Claudia jerked back dramatically. "Watch it!" The worker didn't stop. He rolled the cart past her and disappeared behind the ovens. Rosa put down the pot she was washing. "You need to stay aware. Everyone's fast here." Claudia stared at her. "I don't need advice from someone who's been here her whole life." Rosa blinked once. Nothing else. Luis leaned in slightly. "She's just trying to help." Claudia waved him off. "I don't need help." Rosa picked up another pot. "Everyone needs help here." Claudia laughed under her breath. "Not me." I moved closer, wiping the counter to blend in. Claudia lowered her voice to Luis, but not enough. "Look around, Luis. Half of these people can't even speak proper English. The other half can't keep up with anything modern." Luis stiffened. "They're good people." Claudia snorted. "Good people? They're here because no one else wants them." Rosa rinsed a pan without looking over. Her hands kept working. Claudia kept going. "That old woman over there," she nodded toward Janet at the vegetable station. "She should retire. She slows everyone down." Luis looked embarrassed. "She's been here longer than anyone." "Exactly," Claudia muttered. "Dead weight." Rosa finally turned fully toward her. "Years of experience aren't dead weight." Claudia rolled her eyes. "Spare me." Rosa didn't answer. She simply rinsed another pot. But the silence around her said more than words. A loud crash. A tower of trays tipped near the sink. Luis rushed to pick them up. Claudia stepped back, annoyed. "This place is chaos," she groaned. Rosa lifted a tray from the floor. "It's work." Claudia threw her gloves onto the counter. "It's a waste of my time." Rosa looked down at her own gloves. "It's honest." Claudia snorted. "Honest? No, it's low." She wiped her hands with a towel, tossing it aside like trash. Luis tried again. "It's only temporary. They told you that." Claudia leaned on the sink. "Temporary or not, I don't belong here." Rosa put down a pan. "You belong where you earn your place." Claudia's head snapped toward her. "Excuse me?" Rosa held her gaze. "Every job shows who you are." Claudia's voice got sharper. "People like me lead. People like you follow." Rosa didn't move. "People like me work." Claudia turned away. "Exactly." I wiped the counter slower. I needed to hear more. Claudia's voice dropped. "My mother-in-law would love this, seeing me stuck here." Luis glanced over. "Your mother-in-law?" Claudia's jaw tightened. "She pretends to be harmless, but don't fall for it. She's a bitter old woman who thinks I stole her son." Rosa paused mid-wash. Claudia kept going. "She embarrassed us at Christmas dinner, showed up dressed like she came from a bargain bin. I had to protect my family." Luis frowned. "Protect them how?" Claudia shrugged. "She made a scene. I just handled it." Rosa looked at her. "Handled it?" Claudia waved her hand. "I told her to leave. She was ruining everything." The room around her grew quieter, just slightly. Workers didn't stop, but they listened. "She doesn't know her place," Claudia muttered. "None of these people do." Rosa's hand stopped for the first time. She set the pot down. "Everyone deserves respect." Claudia scoffed. "Respect is earned." Rosa met her eyes. "And so is dignity." Claudia stepped back. "Whatever. I'm taking a break." She tore off her apron and dropped it onto the counter. Luis stared at the mess she left. Rosa didn't move. I followed Claudia out of the kitchen, staying several steps behind. She headed for the hallway, anger in each step, fast, sharp, careless. A worker stepped aside to avoid getting bumped. Claudia didn't look at him. She didn't look at anyone. I walked slowly behind her, watching the way she pushed through the staff, how quickly they stepped away. She reached the end of the hallway and stopped to fix her hairnet. Her voice was low, but I heard it. "Some people really don't know their place." She walked off without looking back, and now I had everything I needed. The message arrived on Martha's phone at 3:12 p.m. She stepped into my doorway. "She's on her break. Bring her up." Martha nodded once and left. I stood behind my desk, no papers on top, no coffee mug, nothing between us when she entered. 5 minutes later, the elevator chimed. Linda walked in first. She held a folder to her chest, eyes low. She moved to the side of the room and stayed there. Then Claudia stepped through the doorway. Her uniform was still damp, her hairnet crooked, her shoes squeaked on the marble. She stopped as soon as she saw me. Her face froze. "You—" Her voice cracked. What is this?" I didn't move. "Close the door." She hesitated. Martha pushed the door shut behind her. Claudia swallowed hard and tried to straighten her apron. "I was told HR wanted me upstairs. They said something about a reassignment complaint. I don't understand why I'm on the executive floor." I gestured to the chair across from me. "Sit." She stayed standing. "This doesn't make any sense. Someone needs to explain." "Sit." Her knees finally bent. She lowered herself into the chair slowly, like the ground wasn't steady. I walked to the edge of the desk. "You're wondering why you're here." Claudia rubbed her sleeve. "This is a mistake. I shouldn't be on this floor." "You're on the right floor." She blinked fast. "I'm supposed to be in a training rotation. That's what they told me. Someone clearly gave wrong instructions." I opened the folder Linda brought. I placed it in front of her. She didn't touch it. I tapped the top page. 3 complaints, 18 months. Claudia stiffened. "Those were misunderstandings." I turned the page. Derogatory remarks, public humiliation, age comments, interference with duties. Claudia's jaw tightened. "I never meant—" "Intent doesn't erase impact." Her eyes darted to Linda. "Why is she here?" "Witness." Claudia shifted. Witness to what? I closed the folder and leaned closer. To your behavior. She pressed her palms into her knees. I work hard. I produce results. You can't punish me for being direct. You were not direct. I opened a second file. You were cruel. Her face twitched. I turned the screen of my monitor so she could see. Dozens of printed emails appeared. Claudia's words, Claudia's tone, Claudia's arrogance. Her shoulders curled inward. Those were private conversations. I shook my head once. Nothing is private when it harms employees. She exhaled sharply. This was HR overreacting. I stepped away from the desk and stood near the window. This was you overreaching. A long pause. I returned to the desk. Do you know who approved your transfer to the kitchen? She tensed. Some HR director? No. Her eyes flicked up. I did. The color drained from her face. You? Why would you? Because I watched you. She blinked. In the kitchen? I nodded once. Her voice thinned. You were there? 3 feet away. Claudia clutched the arms of the chair. That's inappropriate. That's spying. It's observing culture inside my company. Her brows crushed together. Your company? I pointed to the nameplate on the desk. Helen Armstrong, founder and CEO. Claudia stared at it like she had never seen letters before. No, you can't be. Who did you think owned North Star Systems? Her lips parted. No words came out. You met the owner last night at Christmas dinner, I continued. You called her old and useless. You asked security to escort her out. Claudia's voice finally broke free. I didn't know that I was the CEO? Yes, I raised a brow. So you would have treated me differently. Her mouth snapped shut. Linda's grip on the folder tightened. Claudia tried to recover. I was stressed. The dinner, the guests, Ethan's behavior. None of that excuses what you did. I apologized to Daniel. You didn't apologize to me, Claudia's voice rose. Because you ambushed me. You showed up looking... I held up a hand. She stopped instantly. Finish that sentence, I instructed. Claudia's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Not like someone who ran a company. And if I looked wealthy, well-dressed, important? She looked down. It would have been different. Linda looked at Claudia sharply. I leaned forward. That's the problem. Claudia wiped her cheek with the back of her hand. What do you want from me? A formal apology? A statement? No. She exhaled in relief. Then I spoke. I want accountability. Her head snapped up. Accountability? I pointed to the folder. You hurt employees, older employees. You removed dignity from people who've worked longer than you've been alive. Claudia shook her head. I was maintaining standards. You were maintaining ego. Her face heated. You don't understand corporate pressure. I leaned in. I built corporate pressure. Silence. Claudia swallowed hard. So, what now? Are you terminating me? You have 2 options. She sat straighter. 1, continue in the kitchen. Full rotation. Full hours. Full cycle. Until I'm satisfied you've learned something. Her breath caught. Or 2, resign today. Neutral reference. No details. She stared at the folder. Her fingers twitched toward it twice, but she didn't touch it. This is blackmail, she whispered. No, this is consequence. Claudia's eyes darted to Linda again. You're letting her talk to me like this? Linda kept her gaze down. This is her office. I stepped around the desk and stood directly in front of Claudia. She shrank back into the chair. When you called me pauper, when you dragged your hand across the table like you were shooing trash away, when you looked at me like I didn't deserve air. I lowered my voice. I remembered every second. Claudia trembled. I didn't know who you were. You didn't need to know who I was. I straightened. You only needed to know who you were. Her chest rose and fell fast. I walked back behind the desk. Choose. Claudia dragged in a breath. I need time. You have 10 seconds. Her eyes widened. 10 seconds? 8 now. She gripped the seat. Fine. I'll go back to the kitchen. Temporary. Until things clear up. Linda wrote the decision down. Claudia stood, shaky and pale. Daniel will hear about this. He should. You're ruining my marriage. No, I replied. Your behavior is. Her face twisted. She rushed to the door. Martha opened it for her. Claudia stormed into the hallway. I turned to Linda. Document everything. She nodded hard. Yes, Mrs. Armstrong. My phone rang as soon as I stepped back into my office. Daniel's name flashed on the screen. I answered. Yes? His breath came heavy. Mom, she wants to talk. I pulled out my chair and sat. About what? Muffled voices in the background. Claudia, sharp, angry, pushing him. Daniel lowered his voice. She's upset. Upset about what? He hesitated. About work. A louder voice came through the speaker. Claudia. She destroyed my career. She humiliated me. Daniel tried to cover the phone, but her words kept spilling into the call. She planned this. She did this because she hates me. I stayed quiet until Daniel came back on. Mom, can you just hear her out? Hear her out? I repeated. She wants to explain. I let the silence hold for a second, then calmly, bring her, tonight. Daniel exhaled sharply. Tonight? Yes. Another muffled argument. Claudia again. She did this because of Christmas. She's punishing me. She hates me. Daniel came back. She's scared. She's cornered, I corrected. Daniel fell silent. Both of you, I said. My place, 8 o'clock. He hesitated. Mom, please don't yell at her. This is already... I don't yell. He swallowed. Okay, we'll be there. A pause. Then his voice cracked slightly. Thank you. I ended the call. 2 hours later, my office phone buzzed. Martha peeked in. Claudia tried to reach HR. She's demanding a reassignment. Denied. Martha nodded. And Daniel called again. What did he want? He wanted to confirm you're serious about tonight. I am. She lowered her voice. And Claudia? I closed a file and stacked it neatly. She'll come. She has no choice. Martha stepped back. I'll clear your evening. At 6:10, Daniel's number appeared again. I answered. What now? His voice shook. She's crying. Why? She says you're targeting her. I'm holding her accountable. Another pause. Mom, she thinks you want her gone. She's not wrong. He inhaled sharply. Mom, stop protecting someone who hurts people. I cut in. He didn't answer. 8 o'clock, I reminded him. All right. At 7:02, another call came. Claudia this time. Her voice was sharp. We're not coming. I didn't raise mine. You are. You don't get to demand that. I already did. She inhaled through her nose. This is retaliation. This is responsibility. You ruined my job. You ruined your job. You set me up. You exposed yourself. She went silent. Then Daniel's voice came through, strained. Mom, please, can we just talk about this calmly? We will, I replied. At 8, Claudia snapped again. I'm not walking into your apartment for you to lecture me like some child. I don't lecture. I present facts. I don't care about your facts. You will. Her breathing hitched. Daniel tried again. Mom, 8, I repeated. Or don't bother calling again. The line went silent, then clicked off. At 7:40, my phone lit up once more. Daniel, whispering. We're on our way. Good. She's nervous. She should be. He didn't argue. Bring the truth with you, I added. A long pause. Okay. He hung up. At 7:59, their car pulled into the small lot below my window. I watched them from above, Daniel walking fast, trying to hold himself together. Claudia trailing behind, arms crossed, chin high, the same posture she used in the kitchen when cornered. Martha sent a final text. Do you want me to stay nearby? No. I slipped my phone into my drawer. The clock hit 8 o'clock. A sharp knock at my door filled the apartment. I stood. Tonight wasn't about screaming, arguing, or begging. Tonight was about truth, and they were finally here to face it. Daniel stood in my doorway, shoulders tight, eyes lowered. Claudia stood half a step behind him, arms crossed, jaw clenched, chin lifted like a shield. I stepped aside. "Come in." Claudia hesitated. Daniel nudged her gently. She entered, but stayed near the door, as far from me as the small apartment allowed. I closed the door. "Sit." Daniel sank onto the sofa. Claudia stayed standing. "I'm fine here." I nodded once. "Suit yourself." I sat across from them. No tea, no snacks, no pretense. Claudia broke first. "You had no right to interfere with my job." Daniel winced. "Claudia? No." She lifted a hand. "She needs to hear it." I leaned back. "Let's start with Christmas." Her voice sharpened. "So that's what this is really about." "It's about everything," I replied. Daniel looked between us. "Can we just talk through it, please?" I turned to him. "Tell me what she told you." Daniel rubbed his palms against his jeans. She said you transferred her to punishment work, that you were retaliating." Claudia cut in. "Because you were." I opened a folder on the coffee table. "Look." Claudia stepped back. "I'm not touching that." "It's not for you." I slid it toward Daniel. "It's for him." Daniel hesitated, then opened the folder. His eyes scanned the first page, his brow furrowed. "3 complaints?" he whispered. "In 18 months?" Claudia stiffened. "Those were exaggerated." "They were documented," I corrected. She snapped her head toward Daniel. "Your mother is twisting this." Daniel flipped another page. "Age discrimination? Public humiliation? Forcing overtime?" Claudia's cheeks flushed red. "I was maintaining standards, that's all." I gestured toward the folder. "Read the examples." Daniel swallowed. He continued reading. His hands trembled slightly. Claudia's voice rose. "This is out of context. Those people couldn't keep up." Rosa's voice echoed in my memory. "Work shows character." I locked eyes with Claudia. "You told Luis that the kitchen workers had no skills. You told Rosa that work like hers was low. You told Janet she should have retired years ago." Daniel's head jerked toward his wife. "You said that?" Claudia's nostrils flared. "They were slowing everything down." Daniel's voice cracked. "Claudia." She turned to him fast. "Don't talk to me like that. You don't understand what it's like leading a team." "You weren't leading," I cut in. "You were hurting people." She spun back toward me. "You provoked this entire thing. You provoked it at Christmas." Her eyes widened. "I told the truth that night." I leaned forward. "Tell him exactly what you called me." Claudia looked away. "You're twisting my words." "Tell him." Her jaw locked. Silence. So I spoke instead. "You called me Perona." Daniel blinked. "Poor... what?" "It means poor little woman," I explained. "She said it before she told security to escort me out." Color drained from Daniel's face. "You called my mother that?" Claudia's voice cracked. "I didn't know who she was." Daniel stood. "That's not an excuse." Claudia stepped back. "I thought she was embarrassing us." He stared at her. "Embarrassing who? You? Your friends?" Claudia's cheeks reddened further. "I was protecting our image." Daniel's voice rose. "By throwing my mother out?" Claudia flailed for control. "You weren't helping. You just sat there letting her—" "I sat there," Daniel interrupted, voice breaking, "because you told me to." She froze. Daniel turned back to me. "Mom, why didn't you tell me you owned the company?" "You never asked," I replied. "You assumed." His shoulders dropped. Shame filled the quiet space between us. Claudia crossed her arms tighter. "This is ridiculous. Your mother ambushed me at work. She wore a uniform and spied on me." I nodded. "Correct." Her mouth fell open. "You admit it?" I observe my company whenever I choose. You targeted me? You revealed yourself. Claudia clenched her fists. You set me up! I reached into the folder and pulled out the printed email pages. I handed them to Daniel. He read one line, stopped, read another. His face whitened. Claudia, he whispered, you called them dinosaurs? Claudia waved her hands. I was joking! People joke! Daniel's voice steadied. You had Janet transferred to nights? She couldn't keep up. You screamed at Robert? He was too slow. You humiliated Margaret in a meeting? She needed direction. I locked eyes with her again. You needed power. Claudia turned on me. You don't know anything about me. I know enough. Daniel's breath came heavy. Claudia, did you tell me the truth about Christmas? She stiffened, her lips pressed together. He blinked slowly. Did you tell me the truth? She didn't answer, so I did. She left out the part where she dragged Ethan off my lap. Daniel closed his eyes. She left out the part where she said I wasn't clean enough to touch him. His eyes snapped open. And she left out the part where she shouted across the table that I didn't belong with decent people. Daniel stared at Claudia, stunned. She shook her head fiercely. She's lying. Daniel, I said quietly, who do you believe? He didn't answer. He didn't need to. His silence told the truth. Claudia lunged toward him, desperation in her eyes. Daniel, please, just listen. He raised a hand, stopping her cold. Enough. She froze. He stepped back. Tell me one thing honestly. Just one. She swallowed. What? Do you regret humiliating my mother? The apartment went still. Claudia opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. No words came. Daniel stared at her like he'd never seen her before. That's all I needed to know. No, she burst out. You're twisting this. She's turning you against me. She didn't have to, he replied. You did that yourself. Claudia tried to reach for him. He stepped out of reach. He pointed to the door. Leave. Her face twisted. You can't be serious. I am. She shook her head hard. I'm not leaving this house. It's my mother's house, he reminded her, not yours. You ungrateful, she started. Enough, he cut in. Out. Her mouth hung open. Rage and disbelief collided across her features. She turned toward me. This is what you wanted. I kept my voice calm. I wanted truth. She grabbed her purse with shaking hands and stormed to the door. She looked back one last time, eyes wild. This isn't over, she hissed. I met her gaze evenly. It is. She slammed the door behind her. Silence filled the room. Daniel's knees buckled. He dropped onto the sofa and buried his face in his hands. His voice came muffled. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I sat beside him. Stand up again. That's all you need to do now. He nodded slowly. What happens next? You rebuild your life, I answered, and you protect your son. Daniel inhaled shakily. And Claudia? She'll find her own ending. He exhaled long and heavy, relief mixed with grief. Outside the window, nothing moved. No sound, no chaos, just the end of the storm. Daniel stayed on the sofa, leaning forward, elbows on his knees. His breathing finally steadied. The apartment was quiet. I waited. No rush. He lifted his head. I should have defended you. You are now. He exhaled hard. I watched you get thrown out. I didn't move. I don't know why I froze. You were living inside her rules. His jaw tightened. She pushed me so far I didn't recognize myself. You recognize yourself tonight. He nodded slowly. Mom, the scarf. His eyes landed on the red scarf on the table. He picked it up. You kept it. It's warm. He brushed the edge of it with his thumb. Ethan loves this scarf. He asked if he could bring it to school tomorrow. He can. Daniel set it down carefully, as if it mattered now more than before. He keeps asking about you, why you weren't at the house, Why Grandma wasn't there for cake? He'll get answers that fit his age. Daniel swallowed. Tonight broke something. Some things needed to break. He looked at me sharply, then looked away. I let her shape everything, even my silence. You stopped tonight. He nodded. A small, tired motion. I'm scared of what comes next. Fear isn't failure, I told him. Ignoring the truth is. He ran a hand through his hair. Mom, is my marriage over? Your marriage ended the moment she chose cruelty over honesty. Daniel leaned back, his voice softened. I didn't want you to carry all of this alone. I didn't. He looked confused. You stepped in, I clarified. That's all that mattered. He let out a long breath. She said you hated her. Hate is easy, I replied. Accountability isn't. He stared at the floor. She told everyone I was embarrassed by you. You were overwhelmed, not embarrassed. He looked at me, eyes sharper now. I'm done letting her walk over people. Good, I said. Start by walking forward. He nodded again, stronger this time. I stood and moved toward the door. You should take Ethan home. He's tired. Daniel rose too. Mom? Yes. Thank you for not turning your back on me. I don't turn, I answered. I correct. His chest shook just once, half relief, half regret. He stepped toward the exit. His hand paused on the doorknob. Tomorrow. Can we talk again? We can. And Ethan? He's always welcome. Daniel nodded. I'll call you when we get home. Do that. He opened the door. Cold air slipped in. He stepped out, looked back once. No panic in his eyes this time, just clarity, then left. I closed the door quietly. No yelling, no chaos. Just the first calm moment after a long storm, clean, sharp, and overdue. I arrived at headquarters early the next morning. No slow walk, no hesitation. I went straight to my office. Martha followed me in with a folder already open. Reports you wanted. I scanned the first page. Turnover patterns? High in digital campaigns, especially over 50. Document everything. Print hard copies. And she nodded once and left. A minute later, she was back with another stack. Exit interviews, old ones. They never reached you. Put them on the desk. Names filled the papers. Margaret, Robert, Janet, all pushed out, all traced back to the same person. No surprises, only confirmation. I buzzed HR. My office, now. Linda appeared in under 2 minutes, breath tight, clipboard ready. I pointed to the files. Explain why these weren't escalated. She flipped through them, face draining. I wasn't aware we missed this many. You did, she swallowed. What do you want changed? Everything that allowed this to happen. I handed her a list I'd drafted at dawn. She read the first line. Complaint routing goes directly to CEO. Yes. She moved to the second. Supervisors required to log all performance-based confrontations. Accurate logs, I clarified, not opinions. She nodded faster now. The third item hit her harder. Mandatory retraining for all mid-level management, 2 weeks minimum. Start scheduling today. And the fourth? I leaned back. Reevaluate all leadership positions in digital campaigns. She lifted her eyes. All? All. Linda closed her clipboard. I'll begin immediately. When she left, I pressed the intercom. Martha, bring in Janet Rodriguez. 2 minutes later, Janet stepped in, uniform neat, posture solid. She looked unsure why she'd been called. Sit, I told her. She did, hands folded, waiting. I placed a file in front of her. This is your work record. 10 years of punctuality, strong evaluations, 3 recommendations ignored. She blinked. Ignored? Yes. I opened another file. And this is the complaint against you last year." Her shoulders tightened. "I remember." "You did nothing wrong," I said. "You held your schedule. She weaponized it." Janet didn't speak. Her eyes only lowered once, then lifted again. "You're being promoted," I continued. "Floor supervisor, effective next Monday." Her eyes widened. "Me?" "Yes." She let out a breath that sounded like she'd been holding it for a year. "Thank you." "You earned it." When she left, I called facilities. "Bring Maria to my office." Maria walked in carefully, wiping her hands on her apron. "I didn't break anything," she blurted. "You didn't," I replied. "Sit." She sat, nervous. I opened another folder. "Your grandson. He applied for the company scholarship." Her eyes widened. "Yes, but I know it's competitive. Maybe too competitive." "He's approved." Her hands covered her mouth. "Approved?" "Yes, full coverage, books included." She shook her head slowly. "Ma'am, I don't know what to— Just tell him to study." She nodded, tears held back by force. By noon, the cascade had begun. Leadership notices went out. Supervisors were reassigned. The HR department called emergency meetings. A memo hit every inbox. New policies, direct oversight, zero tolerance for harassment, especially age-based. Martha stepped into my office after the last memo was sent. "It's done." "Good." She stood a moment studying me. "You're rebuilding the whole culture." "It needed rebuilding." "And Claudia?" She made her choice. Martha nodded once. "Then so do we." I closed the last folder on my desk. For the first time in months, the company felt like mine again. Sharp, structured, clean. Order restored. The call came on a cold Saturday morning. "Mom!" Daniel's voice carried a hint of excitement. "Ethan built a snowman. He wants you to see it." I grabbed my coat. "Which park?" "Riverside, near the playground." "I'll be there in 10. When I arrived, snow covered everything in a clean, quiet layer. Daniel waved from across the field. Ethan stood beside a small, lopsided snowman, jumping up and down when he saw me. "Grandma!" He ran full speed. "Come here! Look what I made!" I crouched, catching him in my arms. "You did this all by yourself?" He nodded proudly. "Daddy helped roll the big part. But the face is mine." Daniel walked up, smiling, hands in his pockets. "He's been waiting to show you." Ethan tugged my sleeve. "Grandma, does he need a scarf too?" "Yes, sweetheart. Everyone does." Ethan gasped, as if the idea was brand new. "Then we have to make one. Dad, can we? Can we?" Daniel laughed under his breath. "We can try." The three of us stood around the snowman. Ethan pointed eagerly. "I want him warm, like you make me warm." I pulled my red scarf from my neck. "Here, let's wrap it around him." Ethan's eyes widened. "But you'll get cold." "I won't," I told him. "You're here." He wrapped the scarf around the snowman himself, tongue sticking out in concentration. "There!" Daniel watched the scene quietly. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft. "He talks about you every night." Ethan looked up. "Grandma, do you like him?" "Who?" "My snowman. His name is Mr. Buttons." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Why Mr. Buttons?" "Because he needs buttons," Ethan answered simply. Daniel chuckled. "Fair enough." I reached out and tapped Ethan's nose. "I love him." Snow kept falling in small, steady flakes. Ethan kicked at the ground and pointed again. "Grandma, come see my fort." He dragged me toward a pile of half-formed snow walls. "This is where the knights guard the treasure." "And what's the treasure?" He whispered dramatically. "Cookies." Daniel shook his head. "He's obsessed with cookies since you showed him how to bake." Ethan puffed his chest. "Grandma says knights need snacks." Daniel laughed. "She did she?" Ethan looked between both of us. "Daddy, can Grandma come every weekend, please?" Daniel glanced at me. "If she wants to." "I do." Ethan threw both arms in the air. "Yay!" He ran back to the snowman and began patting its belly. "Mr. Buttons needs feet." "Daddy, help!" Daniel walked over and knelt beside him. "What kind of feet?" "Big ones. Snowman feet." I watched them together, shoulders touching, heads close, Ethan giggling as Daniel shaped 2 small mounds of snow. Daniel looked back at me. "Thank you for coming." "You invited me." "I should have done it sooner." Ethan interrupted. "Grandma, come help! Mr. Buttons is falling." I rushed over and steadied the top section. "Hold him, Ethan!" He pressed his mittened hands against the snowman. "Don't fall, Mr. Buttons. Grandma's here now." Daniel smiled at the ground. "He adores you." "And I adore him." Ethan tugged Daniel's sleeve. "Daddy, Grandma can come for hot chocolate too, right?" "Yes," Daniel answered. "She can." "And cookies?" Daniel sighed in defeat. "And cookies." Ethan threw his arms around both of us. "Family hug." Daniel froze for a second, then slowly wrapped an arm around me and the other around Ethan. It was simple, warm, real. When we stepped back, Daniel cleared his throat. "Mom, I'm trying, I really am." "I know. I don't want to lose what we have left." "You're not losing anything," I told him. "You're rebuilding." Ethan waved his hands wildly. "Daddy! Grandma! Look! Snow angels!" He flopped onto his back and began sweeping his arms. "Come on!" Daniel lay beside him first. I lay on his other side. 3 figures in the snow, arms moving, Ethan laughing loud enough to echo across the empty field. When we stood up, Ethan inspected our angels proudly. "Grandma has the biggest wings." Daniel nudged him. "That's because she's strong." Ethan nodded firmly. "She's the strongest person I know." Daniel looked at me, eyes softer than they'd been in years. "He's not wrong," Ethan pointed again. "Daddy, Grandma, run, race to the bench." He bolted forward. Daniel glanced over. "Ready?" "I'm older," I reminded him. He smirked. "You're faster." We ran, laughing, breath visible in the cold air, Ethan cheering the entire time. When we collapsed onto the bench, Ethan climbed onto my lap. "Grandma, today is the best day." "It is?" "Yes, because you're with us." Daniel sat beside us. "He's right." The snow kept falling, gentle and steady, while we held each other close. A family, whole again. I stepped into my apartment and set my keys down. The silence was warm, but it didn't last long. My phone buzzed on the counter. A message from Rosa. "My grandson got the scholarship. He cried when he read the letter. Thank you." I typed back simply, "Hard work deserves light." Then the phone buzzed again and again. Messages flooded in. Maria from the cafeteria, Robert from IT, Janet, Luis. I didn't open them all. I didn't need to. The notifications lit up the screen in a steady stream, photos of smiling teams, thank you notes, updates on new policies, a cascade of relief from people who finally felt seen. Then one final notification popped up. A video from Daniel. I tapped play. Ethan's face filled the screen, cheeks red from the cold, waving both arms wildly. "Grandma, my snowman needs a scarf. Bring it next time." Daniel's voice laughed in the background. "He insisted on sending that." I smiled, locked the screen, and set the phone down next to the lamp. The room stayed quiet, but the screen kept pulsing with light, ripple after ripple. All of them real, all of them earned. The house was quiet when I finally turned off the kitchen light. Snow pressed against the windows in soft sheets, and for the first time all day, the silence felt earned. I set my phone on the nightstand and sat on the edge of my bed. Before I could reach for the lamp, the phone lit up again. "Daniel." A call. I answered. "Daniel?" "Mom, are you awake?" "I am." There was a small rustle on the other end. Then a tiny voice cut in. "Grandma?" I straightened. "Yes, sweetheart, I'm right here." Ethan whispered like he was sharing a secret. "Daddy says dragons are scared of the dark." "They are," I told him. "Dragons don't like the light. Then you need to leave your lamp on, so the dragons can't bother you." "I will," I said. "I promise." A soft giggle came through the receiver. "Good, because I love you, and I'm brave now." I know you are. Very brave. There was shuffling again, then Daniel took the phone back. He wouldn't go to sleep until he talked to you. I'm glad he called. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Not heavy silence, just quiet. Mom, Daniel exhaled. Everything feels different now. It should, I answered. I keep thinking about the last few months, all the things I didn't see, all the things I should have stopped. You're seeing them now, I said. Nothing more. I feel like I failed you. You didn't fail me. You made mistakes, and you corrected them. Another long breath from him. I don't know how to fix everything at once. You fix it one day at a time. And he paused. Mom? Yes? I'm relieved. His voice softened. It's like I finally woke up. That's what the truth does. There was a quiet laugh, tired but real. You know what Ethan told me tonight? He said, Daddy, Grandma isn't scared of dragons. Dragons are scared of Grandma. I let a small smile pull at me. He's observant. He is. Then his tone shifted, steadier. Mom, you didn't deserve what happened. Any of it. And I'm sorry it took me this long. I know, I said, and I'm not going anywhere. Good, he whispered, because I want you in Ethan's life, all the way in. That's where I plan to stay. Another pause, this one lighter. He wants to show you something tomorrow, a drawing, some castle he made in school. I'll be there. I figured, he said. Good night, Mom. Good night, Daniel. The call ended. I set the phone down and reached for the lamp switch. My hand paused on it. Ethan's red scarf lay beside the lamp, folded neatly. I pulled it closer and placed it over the corner of the nightstand. Then I clicked the lamp on and left it burning. I walked to the window. Snow drifted right past the glass, clean, white, direct. No metaphors, just weather. The kind of weather that made people stay home, call their families, check on the people who mattered. My phone vibrated one more time. Daniel again. A text. Mom, thank you for leaving the light on for Ethan. And for me. I typed back without hesitating. I always will. The screen dimmed. I turned my head toward the lamp. It glowed exactly the way Ethan wanted. No flicker, no shadow. A small, stubborn light in a quiet room. I closed my eyes. Not to think. Not to replay anything. Just to rest. The day had ended. The damage repaired. The future waiting. No noise. No fear. No dragons. Only the light. And I let sleep take me without a fight. I stood by the window for a moment before turning off the main light. Snow kept falling, steady, quiet, familiar. The lamp beside my bed glowed softly, exactly the way Ethan wanted it. I faced the camera, or rather, the space where I knew someone would be listening. If you've stayed with me until now, thank you. My voice didn't waver. It didn't need to. What would you do, I asked, if someone humiliated you in front of your family, if they called you old, useless, and disposable? I let the question sit just long enough. Would you walk away? Would you push back? Would you wait for the right moment to show them who you really are? I reached for the lamp and adjusted it so the light spread evenly across the room. You've heard what happened to me. You've heard what happened to her. And you've heard what happened to the people who deserved better. Another short pause. I want you to tell me in the comments what you would have done. Don't hold back. I read every story, every single one. I tapped the red scarf on the nightstand, a small reminder of why everything mattered. And tell me where you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels, and how many people out there understand what it feels like when someone tries to make you smaller than you are. I walked toward the door, leaving the lamp burning behind me. One more thing. I turned slightly, just enough. If someone in your life is trying to push you down, remember this. You don't need to yell. You don't need to scream. You don't need to match their cruelty. I touched the lamp again. You just need one thing: light, your truth, your dignity, your boundary. And once it's on, the right people will see it. The snow outside thickened, drifting past the glass in slow white lines. Thank you for staying with me through the very end of my story. It means more than you know. If any part of this reminded you of something you went through or someone you had to stand up to, feel free to share it below. I read every comment. Your stories matter too. And if you enjoyed this one, I'd love to have you with me in the next video. There are many more stories coming about strength, dignity, and the quiet kind of justice that shows up when it's needed most. Take care of yourself tonight, and wherever you're watching from, I hope you leave a light on. I'll see you in the next story.